Today is January 31st. It's the 31st day of the year, and this is the On This Day podcast. On this day in 1961, the Mercury Redstone 2 rocket lifts off from Cape Canaveral, Florida. Aboard the Mercury spacecraft is the first member of the American space program to travel to outer space, Ham the Chimp. Ham the Chimp is originally from Cameroon. He's born there sometime in 1956 or 1957. When he's a young chimpanzee living in Africa, he's captured by animal traders who sell him to a bird farm in Miami, Florida. From there, he's one of 40 chimps bought by the U.S. Air Force and sent to Holloman Air Base in New Mexico for training as Project Mercury Astro Chimps. Ham and the other chimps don't actually have names, they're assigned numbers. Ham is known as number 65, that is until his historic suborbital trip on this day. The U.S. government figures if the chimps have names, that would humanize them, and if something goes wrong, there'd be a lot more bad publicity over the death of a chimp with a name, rather than the death of number 65. At Holloman Air Base, Ham is trained to pull a lever when he sees a blue light flash. He and the other chimps are given mild shocks on the soles of their feet to get them to comply. The group is whittled down a few times until the top 6 chimpanzees are identified and sent to Cape Canaveral, Florida at the beginning of January 1961. There, they undergo further training inside Mercury capsule simulators. Of the bunch, Ham, number 65, is selected as the primary primate for the Mercury Redstone 2 mission. Another chimp, a female later named Minnie, is selected as his backup. Ham has done well with the training. He's the most capable and compliant of all the chimps, and he has the best disposition. He's energetic, alert, and he has a great sense of humor. On this day in 1961, Ham the Chimp is led out to the launch pad and inserted into the capsule atop the giant rocket. Once the rocket lifts off and carries Ham up into space, a number of problems occur. The flight path angle is too steep, the liquid oxygen supply runs out, and the cabin pressure drops. But Ham is snug as a bug in his spacesuit, and he has no problems on his 16-minute journey into outer space and back again. Ham is weightless for 6 minutes, and in that time, he sees the blue light in front of him flash, and he obediently pulls the lever. 50 times he successfully pulls the lever, only about a second slower than he did on Earth, proving that manual tasks can be performed in space. 16 minutes and 39 seconds after liftoff, the capsule splashes down in the Atlantic, and Ham is recovered, with a minor bruise on his nose, but otherwise in tip-top shape. It's then that he's officially named Ham, standing for Holloman Aerospace Medical Center, where he does his initial training for his spaceflight. After his flight, he retires to the National Zoo in Washington, D.C., and later to the North Carolina Zoo, where he passes away at the age of 26 in 1983. Ham the Chimp, the first hominid and the first member of the American space program to travel to space, launched on this day in 1961, is buried at the New Mexico Museum of Space History. There are 334 days left in the year. On This Day is produced by me, Dave Schultz. Thank you very much for listening. This marks the end of a year's worth of programs for me. I've officially done a show every single day of the year for the last 366 days. Last year was a leap year, remember. I will be continuing the show in some form or fashion. For the meantime, I'm going to be doing kind of a reprise, if you will, of the next couple weeks worth of shows. So if you have literally been listening since the very first day, back on February 1st of last year, you may recognize some of these stories. But for the rest of you, it will seem as business as usual. So enjoy the next few days of reprise episodes, and thank you very much for listening all of this time. I really do appreciate it. So if you're still listening, thank you. Talk to you tomorrow.